It's Friday, August 22nd, 2025. Welcome to episode 168 of the Alameda Postcast, an audio service of the Alameda Post. I'm your host, Scott Peeler. In this edition of the Postcast, Alameda PD thwarts a bank robbery. AUSD turns down the heat. Alameda continues to be represented on the SF Bay Ferry Board. The latest real estate sales. Plenty to do this weekend, including a growing comic book convention. Time to shred some documents, and a special lunar event that you probably never knew the name of. These stories and more on this episode of the Alameda Postcast. Our top story. Just after noon on Wednesday, the Alameda Police Department responded to a report of an attempted bank robbery in the 500 block of Willie Stargell Avenue, according to an APD report posted on Facebook. The 500 block is the location of Chase Bank by In-N-Out Burger. APD officers who responded to the scene learned that a suspect had tried to rob the bank by passing a threatening note to a teller demanding money, but the teller did not fulfill the demand, the police report stated, and the would-be robber fled the scene. That getaway attempt was also unsuccessful. Bank staff had quickly secured the business and helped gather video footage to assist with the investigation. The suspect's description was immediately shared with all on-duty patrol units, and within minutes, officers found and arrested the individual near Webster Street. The case has been referred to APD's Investigations Unit for further follow-up. Story at alamedapost.com/news. On Tuesday, August 12th, the Alameda Unified School District Board of Education held its first meeting of the 2025-2026 school year. The, dare I say, hot topic at the meeting, a progress update on heat mitigation strategies in classrooms. AUSD's maintenance and facilities staff spent the summer break installing cooling solutions in classrooms across the district, following the development of a weighted rubric and multi-year implementation plan in April 2025 to prioritize heat mitigation strategies in the 198 AUSD classrooms without fans or air conditioning. The upgrades are the latest development in a process that began in October of 2024 following a week of sweltering temperatures. Only 9 classrooms were scheduled to receive ceiling fans this summer, but AUSD staff managed to complete installations in 54 classrooms, pulling well ahead of schedule and even exceeding the additional 28 classrooms scheduled for summer of 2026. Completed classrooms located primarily at elementary schools, including Payton, Maya Lin, Franklin, Edison, and Bay Farm. In wake of the progress, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services Sharik Khan revealed an accelerated timeline that anticipates completing fan installation inside 25 additional elementary classrooms at Bay Farm, Earhart, and Maya Lin by the end of this school year. Khan also anticipates district maintenance staff could install fans in the remaining 43 elementary classrooms, while work on 73 secondary classrooms may be contracted out so that all of the installations can be completed by summer 2027. Additionally, 11 classrooms at Maya Lin and Payton have undergone a window tinting pilot program. AUSD staff has prepared a survey and will time its release with a heat wave to solicit teacher feedback from classrooms with and without these mitigation measures on topics that include comfort, air circulation, and any operational concerns. Also in the meeting, Superintendent Pascal Scuderi provided an overview of the district's response to recent federal policy developments in immigration enforcement. Scuderi offered reassurance that no outside agency can gain access to schools without a valid judicial warrant, and there is no knowledge of there ever being a valid warrant served for a school-based immigration action or inquiry statewide. If an immigration-related incident were to occur, AUSD has a process in place in which school staff immediately hands off to the district executive team and legal counsel. In other topics, it was announced that $400,000 in frozen federal funds had been released to AUSD. Also, Scuderi explained the impact of the recent Supreme Court decision in the case of Mahmoud versus Taylor. The Supreme Court concluded that by eliminating parental opt-outs, Montgomery County, Maryland violated the parents' free exercise of religion under the First Amendment, and that school districts must provide opt-outs for families when they feel that certain curricula burden their parental religious exercises for LGBTQ-themed literature in their English language arts curriculum, for example. Scuderi went on to say that the decision does not require schools to remove such materials, although what other topics may require opt-outs is still being determined. Ken Durr has the full story, including in-depth technical details on the heat mitigation process at alamedapost.com/news. The California State Senate Rules Committee appointed Alameda resident Mike Henneberry to the San Francisco Bay Ferry Board of Directors. Henneberry joined the board at its August 14th meeting. Henneberry, the recording secretary for the International Brotherhood of Teamsters Local 853, serves on the Alameda Labor Council Executive Committee and is a former chair of the Alameda Planning Board. Henneberry continues Alameda's representation on the Ferry Board, replacing Jeff Del Bono, a retired Alameda Fire Division chief. Del Bono served on the board from 2014 until he stepped down this summer. Henneberry will serve the remainder of that vacated term, which expires on January 1st of 2030. Pretty much destined that Mike Henneberry would be involved with the ferry. His father and grandfather both worked as mariners, and his father proposed to his mother on board a ferry in the San Francisco Bay. Story at alamedapost.com/news. As we do every 2 weeks, time to take a look at the latest real estate sales in Alameda, courtesy of Liz Rush. In another indicator that the market is changing a bit, Liz points out that there are currently 110 residential properties for sale in Alameda. That's at a point where we're starting to edge out of a seller's market and approach a more buyer-friendly environment. Between August 5th and August 18th, 20 properties changed hands, one of the more even splits we've seen, with 11 in Alameda proper and 9 on Bay Farm Island. Prices range from $465,000 to $2.8 million. Of the 20, 10 sold for above asking price, 4 at list, and 6 below. Average time on market continues to hover around 4 weeks. Full details in Liz's article at alamedapost.com/real-estate. Our history walking tours return this weekend. We'll be exploring the area known as Mastic Park. When Edwin Mastic passed away, his son George took down his parents' home and subdivided the family's 22-acre estate into 186 lots. That area is basically bordered on the west by Wilma Chan Way, Wood Street on the east, Pacific Avenue on the south, and Gene Sweeney Park on the north. Work began in 1907 with George engaging the Greater San Francisco Investment Company to finance the new development. He oversaw that development that featured an emerging type of house, the bungalow. Learn about the Mastic family and their legacy this Sunday or next Saturday. Tours begin at 10 a.m. Meet at Pacific and 8th. Tour tickets at alamedapost.com/tours. Dennis Evanosky has provided an excellent background article at alamedapost.com/history. An event is headed to Alameda Point this Sunday for the first time. Cape and Cowl Comics in Oakland has teamed up with Faction Brewing to present the 3rd annual Cape and Cowl Con. Admission is free. It features special guests from the worlds of comic books, movies, and television. Among the biggest names, actor-comedian Patton Oswalt and Brian Posen from The Big Bang Theory. For my fellow comic book geeks, you can meet Poison Ivy cover artist Jessica Fong, representatives from the Jack Kirby Museum, as well as superstar husband and wife art team Terry and Rachel Dodson. There will also be creators with local ties there, including Alameda's own Maria Van Lashout and Pixar animator Ben Su, who has made a name for himself outside of Pixar as a sought-after cover artist for Marvel Comics. I spent some time chatting with Ben about his career in animation, his work with Marvel, and his co-creation of Chomp, the Yeti for Abominable Toys. If you've seen any of the last 17 or so Pixar films, you've seen Ben's work. Get to know Ben and see what happens when a Yeti battles Godzilla at alamedapost.com/alameda-life. You'll also find a link to the complete guest list. Admission is free. Convention runs Sunday from 11 to 6 at Faction Brewing. The Point will be busy this weekend, as we discussed last week. Electrify Expo back in town Saturday and Sunday. Amanda Laird's all-around Alameda column has rounded up some events. There's something for everyone this Saturday. Alameda Walks focuses on the Alaska Packers Association, a fleet of ships that brought salmon from Alaskan waters all the way to San Francisco's Fremont Wharf. Meet at Marina Cove Waterfront Park, 1575 Clement for the 9 a.m. start. Crab Cove's Fish Festival is back. Head over to the Doug Seiden Visitors Center on Saturday from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. You get to see the East Bay Regional Park District's 1,500-gallon aquarium on wheels. I saw that event last year. Quite a great one. From noon until 6, the Bay Area Fashion, Music, and Arts Festival taking over South Shore Center with fashion, food, and fun. The final installment of Rhythmic's Cultural Works Rising Seas performances scheduled for Saturday from 1 to 4 at Bohall Circle Immigrant Park. Details on these events in the all-around Alameda column at alamedapost.com/alameda-life. If you've got sensitive documents to destroy, head to First United Credit Union's Shred event at their Alameda branch on Saturday from 9:30 to 12:30. They're at 2680 5th Street, Suite A. Also this Saturday, the Myers House and Gardens at 2021 Alameda Avenue open for its monthly tours from 1 until 4. As always, more events at 94501.info. If you look to the skies tonight, Friday, just after 11 p.m., you'll be intrigued by what you don't see. It's called a black moon, an informal term for the second new moon in a calendar month, sort of the opposite of a blue moon. What makes new moons great is the ability to see stars and planets thanks to the absence of light from the moon. You can help support local news by heading to alamedapost.com/donate. You can also find us on all the usual social media outlets. Find the Postcast wherever you get your podcasts, or simply tell your smart device to play the Alameda Postcast podcast. I'm Scott Peeler, back next Friday with episode 169 of the Alameda Postcast.